Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your podcast host here at Action Coach in Central Texas. And today, my guest on the show is David Gatchell, founder and president of Four Gifts Publishing. And he is also the author of the book, The Financial Empowerment Handbook. So I'm super excited to dive into this conversation. We're going to be learning about David's business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges he's faced along the way to give you an inside scoop to what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this one. Well, welcome, David. It is so nice to have you on the show today.
Good morning, Kay. It's great to be with you.
Well, I'm excited to dive in, share a little bit about yourself and a brief on the business.
Well, great. Again, thanks for having me. I'm on about business number 3 or 4. My longtime business that I started about 20 years ago was delivering construction services to federal government clients. We did, design build projects all over the world, and that I brought that down. I kind of downsized that business pre-COVID, and now I'm, still engaged with the business, but we're doing more consulting, business development efforts for other companies. In fact, the past couple months has been a really busy time because we've helped a couple other companies put together 8 separate proposals for federal work. So, but that's all finished now with the fiscal year ending at the end of September. The deadlines are usually in August. So I'm breathing a sigh of relief that is behind me. But that's sort of my legacy business that I've had for almost 2 decades. My big focus now is my newer company focused on publishing and education. And our topic is financial literacy. Last year, I actually wrote a book, as you mentioned in the intro, the Financial Empowerment Handbook. I always have a handy copy nearby on my desk. And this book is written for a age group 16 to 26. It teaches all the necessary information for a young person or someone in a disadvantaged group that doesn't have access to key education like this, where they can get all the information they need. And it's not the information that I think they need, but it's actually following the standards of the state of Texas and in fact, national standards for financial literacy and teaching that to young people. So I wrote the book, and then there's been a lot of positive feedback in the past, 8 months or so. A lot of positive reviews online, talking to a lot of people, and now we're actually engaging in business and consulting work, in curriculum development, trainings, things like that for nonprofits, for schools and other institutions like that. So when I wrote the book, it was just going to be a book, but because of the positive feedback from the publication, I decided to launch that as more of a training and publication company to go beyond just selling a book, but see other ways to reach the audience and really share this critical information with as many people as possible.
Oh, wow. That is a cool journey. So I love that the book inspired a lot of what you're doing. That is a cool thing to happen. It's a little bit magical there, which is nice. And so I'd like to dive in, get to know you as like the president. What does the day-to-day look like for you? I know no 2 days are the same, but what's like a typical day look like for you?
Starting a new company, it's exhilarating, it's fun, and honestly, it's my favorite part of the entrepreneurial journey. Once you're established and you have a team and you have a routine and things like that, it's less exciting to me. That's really where you can grow and scale and do great things. But for me, I'm more the visionary, the startup, the idea, take it to market, and then my interest is not quite as strong after that. So I'm enjoying this, right? But during the early stage, really, it's just an idea, and then it transitions into a semblance of a business, but it's not really a fully functioning business yet. I'm wearing all the hats. I have, I outsource certain things that I don't have time for or can't do myself, graphic design, things like that, certain content pieces that I need to put together that someone else can do better, video editing, things like that. But for the most part, it's me preparing content, preparing our strategy, doing a lot of outreach and establishing the brand, right? I think branding is critical for businesses in general, especially at the early stage where you're trying to kind of carve out some niche, who you
Mhm.
are, where you want to be, what you want to be doing, and what you want to be recognized for. And so there's a lot of thought that goes into these early stages that the rest of the world doesn't know about, doesn't see. You could say it's a kind of unrecognized effort. It's not like you go to work every day and you're building a new bridge or a new building or something else that everyone can see the results of. There's a lot of strategic thought that goes into it. A lot of reading. You know, I read a book recently on strategy, and I'm using some of that and kind of planning how to move forward with the new venture. So a
Mhm.
typical day is very, you know, non-typical. It's really whatever I'm feeling at that moment. Like what's what's passion telling me to do today? Like where is it taking me? And that's a luxury of, you know, starting a new business and being able to, you know, follow one's interests. I know it's hard to come by, right? Because there are a lot of other, you know, demands on our time in life. But being in the early stage of a new startup, it's fun, it's exciting, and I really do get to do the things that excite me.
Oh, that is super cool. It sounds super fun. And you know, so are you currently, do you have employees right now, or are you wearing all the hats right now?
I'm wearing all the hats. Like I said, it started last year with writing a book,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
I had, you know, my other business at the moment is a local real estate firm. So we manage a portfolio of homes. But so wrote the book last year, and now that is, you know, transitioning to being a business by itself. That's my goal. We're not there yet. We have actually had two paying clients so far, beyond just, you know, literally hundreds of, you know, book purchases. But we sold some books in bulk to a branch office of the YWCA. So that was
mhm,
a proud moment. My first bulk order, and it's the YWCA. I support their organization. And then more recently, we were hired to build out a custom curriculum for a private middle school. They wanted to they recognize the value of financial literacy education from the middle school level, and so we're taking the content of the book and customizing that for their audience and their culture at their school. So that's super fun. So, you know, now we are operating as a business and we're generating revenue. I think most entrepreneurs will tell you when they start a business, you know, you might finally start making revenue, but you're a long way from actually being profitable. There's a
mhm.
lot of upfront investment. So not making any money yet, but at least we have a lot of positive signs, and we have actually sold some of our services and products to institutions like a school and an organization, and we're looking to do more of that. So there's a lot of variation. Every day is different, and one of the fun things is I go down whatever rabbit hole I want to on a given day, right? If it's pursuing, you know, more nonprofits or federal clients or something like that, I can do that based on, you know, what might pop up in my feed or in my daily routine that I think, that's a great idea, and I do that. As an entrepreneur, I'm excellent at chasing rabbits, um, and eventually I catch one. So that's the good news.
That's great. Well, I love to hear that, which actually leads perfectly into my next question, which, you know, if I were in your audience, how would I know that I was a good customer for you, a good client for you? You know, you're diving into schools and institutions. So what does that customer look like for you?
You know, I'm looking for scale, right? Anybody can go out and buy the book for themselves. You mentioned you need it, so I'm happy to send you the link. Okay. Um, uh,
Love
that's
that.
one person, right? That's
Uh-huh.
one sale, right? Which is great. If it helps that one person, that's great. That's, you know, that's the mission, is to help as many people as possible. But the bigger idea is to attract customers that have access to a larger audience, schools, right? If it's a single class, it might be 30 kids. If it's a individual school, it might be a couple hundred of juniors and seniors in high school, for example. If it's a school district, then we're talking thousands, right? And then if it's a state, that's, you know, a magnitude beyond that. So schools are great. Organizations like the YWCA would be great. I trying to nurture that relationship and see if there are further things that we can do for them, working with their, you know, lower or middle income, families that participate in their activities, helping them understand more about their own personal finances. Habitat for Humanity, I've been a long time participant and supporter, and I would love them to be a client, one of our first big clients. I have an outstanding proposal with them to do this for all of their new home buyers. They teach obviously everything they need for their home buyers to get a mortgage, but they don't go anything beyond that, like talking about credit cards and car buying and educational opportunities and return on investment, things like that. And so I actually proposed a free pilot program to our local chapter, and waiting to hear back. So eventually, a short-term goal would be to have clients like that, where there's a big audience, they have a big need, and my firm and I can come in and provide training materials and educational services, virtual, in person if it's nearby, and really help inform a larger audience than just selling books, which, like I said, well, honestly, not that many people read books. I'm a book reader. I know a lot of people that are not. So that way, we're not just solely focused on selling books, but we're looking at how to get in front of a larger audience. So that would be how I would define an ideal customer. Hundreds or thousands of potential students that we could get in front of.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And that kind of leads right into the next question about marketing and how are you as a, entrepreneur sharing about your business and means of marketing? So what have been some of your most successful marketing pursuits so far?
I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I believe that's how you and I got connected. I write a lot, so I do put some content out there on the same topic. So just creating a consistent brand, just making it clear kind of what it is that I'm doing, what my passion is, what my interests are, and then that does attract a certain number of people to me with the same interest. So that's one thing is the branding. We actually recently, I mentioned earlier that I'm a longtime federal contractor, so I know how all that works. Proposals, RFPs, all that stuff, and but that was always on the contract side. I've never done any grant work for my own company, but last week actually I submitted my first ever grant proposal
Mm.
to the Department of Justice. I proposed rolling out an educational program like this to federal prisons, arguing that
Ooh.
teaching incarcerated individuals basics of personal finance and financial literacy would go a long way to helping them when they get out and they re-enter society. They have a stronger foundation for prosperity than they did when they went in. That's sort of the idea in a nutshell. So put together a grant proposal, which grant proposals, other kind of proposals, that's marketing. It's direct marketing. It's usually competitive bidding, but that's my bread and butter of how to win a job, how to get a client, is by submitting a competitive proposal. So that with sort of online branding and consistent messaging, those are my two kind of different approaches to marketing.
Oh, that's a good one too. That's something I've not heard yet on the podcast is one to do with like grant writing and proposal writing. And that makes a lot of sense, which actually, what are your goals for like the next 3 to 5 years with the business? What's your vision that you have?
I like focusing on the vision, and then crafting a strategy to help me get there. And I haven't spent all the time I need to yet to develop that and develop a strategy, build out the goals to actually make it happen. But in order to do that, what I've always done is I'm a big fan of the entrepreneurial operating system. If you're familiar with EOS,
Mm.
from Traction, the book Traction, Gino Wickman.
Okay.
A lot of entrepreneurs swear by EOS and the book Traction. I'm one of them. I've used it for over a decade. It's and one component of that book is putting together your vision. They call it the Vision Traction Organizer, VTO. And I just like the simplicity of kind of laying out short term and longer term goals up to about 3 to 5 years. And it breaks it down into chunks so you can focus on a target for this year and then 3 years and then maybe beyond. But has a goal, then the steps you need to take to get there, and then helps you look a little further into the future with some level of clarity. So that's a tool I use to look into the future and decide, what is it that I want to accomplish. And so with For Gifts Publishing, as we've been talking about, right, that those are the goals. I haven't put them into a nice, clear little marketing piece that says this is where we're headed, and the stars are alight. But it's about getting in front of more people, impacting more people, selling books, giving away a lot of books. We give away a lot of content already to underprivileged groups and organizations just to share the message. But to, over the next year, the goal would be to bring on our first kind of institutional client, whether that's YWCA, a school district, the Department of Justice, Habitat for Humanity. Habitat, if you're listening, we're the ones for you. So that will be a big part of the goal for the next year. So like bring on a big client like that. And then obviously we'd have some income or grant revenue, something like that, where we could hire a couple people and, really solidify our programs, build out more curriculums, customize them for different groups, and then actually engage more with people with the training. So the goal for a year would be to have that first institutional level client. So the first year, right, we have, hundreds of book buyers, if we can call them that. And that's great because they're learning, hopefully, and hopefully spreading the message a little bit more. But beyond that, we want to engage with more institutional clients, like I've mentioned. So if we can get one of those in the next year, hire a couple people, that would be the short-term target.
Very cool. Definitely. Well, you're on your way to success, which is super fun. And so I'd like to focus a little bit about you. You mentioned a serial entrepreneur before we hopped on the call. And I'd like to dive into, what did that look like for you? Like, why did you want to go into business for yourself as opposed to working for somebody else? And what was that transition like for you?
I think a lot of entrepreneurs would say that, they saw things happening and they realized that they could do it better. And that's sort of my story. I had my most recent job, which was in the early 2000s. I was a project manager for a company doing projects, and I didn't like how things were run. I didn't agree with decisions from leadership, and I knew I could do it better myself. And so I left that job and I started up kind of in the back room of a friend's office and pretty scarce living arrangements. But it's totally bootstrapping it from the beginning, really just selling my own services. And initially I was doing consulting work, and then we had a partnership, a joint venture, and then we had another joint venture. And then, a few joint ventures later, we were doing all the work ourselves. And then my journey, I realized that that's too much, actually. Right? I wanted more and more and more. I wanted, more ownership, more profit. And I realized that at the end of the day, all those good things, they come with an equal amount of risk and obligation, and that got heavy. And I realized that, okay, I kind of reached this level that I thought I wanted to a long time ago. And when I got there, it wasn't quite as rosy as I had expected. And so that's one of the reasons why I kind of decided to take a different direction with that company. And now we're doing, consulting and helping other companies. And I'm not carrying the big risk. We were doing, large scale construction projects and had to put up financial guarantees for each one of them. And that was my name. That was my money, my reputation on the line every time. And of course, I had a team. We had, team members all around the world doing a great job. But at the end of the day, it was my skin in the game, and really not anyone else's. So that got too tiring, and so that led to the transition to where I am now. But that's sort of the journey with the first company, and then with one company, you learn the basics of running a business, starting a business, running it, operating it, making money sometime, not making money other times. And with that comes a certain level of confidence that one can do it again. It's not easy to start something new, but at least having done it for a while, I know that there are certain parts of it that really aren't that difficult, right?
Mhm.
And so I can do those things easily. And now, like I said, the focus is on actually generating sales. We have a product. We can build more product, but we need to kind of prove out the concept with institutional clients before going too much further.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that part of your journey. And this has been such a great conversation filled with lots of like nuggets for entrepreneurs out there. And now I'd like to dive into a fun part of the conversation called the
Yay.
rapid fire questions.
All right.
Yes. So feel free to answer these it's 4 questions, answer top of mind, first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
Dude, let's go.
All right. Question number 1 is, what is a key to success for you?
Dedication and commitment.
Yes. Number
You want
2.
me to expand on these or just like rapid fire, quick answer back?
We're gonna do rapid fire through
All
this
right.
round.
All right.
So the second question is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
I would say find something that you're passionate about. It doesn't mean it's going to make it easy, but at least it helps justify all the hard work and effort that will no doubt go into building a new company. When I'm not passionate about building a new company and I'm just going through the motions, it can be sheer drudgery.
Very true. And question number 3 is, what is a book or piece of content you've read most recently that's impacted you?
One of my all-time favorite books, it's on my shelf in my office all the time, is Abundance by Peter Diamandis. Back
Mm,
with my former company, when I had a team here and teams around the world, I gave everybody a copy of that book, and we talked about it at monthly meetings. And Peter Diamandis, he's an amazing guy doing futuristic stuff. I like to follow what he's got going on. But the concept of the book is that the world is better than we think it is. There are more opportunities than we think. You're always seeing in the news like negative stuff, and there's a lot of negative
yeah.
stuff, but there's also a
Mhm.
lot of positive stuff. And the idea is that we live in a world of abundance, and everybody can take that opportunity to go out and really participate in that.
Very much. Well, thank you for sharing that book. And our final question is, if you could rapidly overnight improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Uh, I would have $1 million grant for training
Ooh,
people nationwide. Sales. I would use
sales.
my magic power to increase sales. I'd be happy to do that. If you have that magic wand, I'd like to borrow it.
Well, the action coach team can help with that. And our final question today, David, before we get to our final question, actually, how can people find you? Feel free to share your contact info.
The best way really is LinkedIn. Just my name, David Gatchell.
Wonderful. Well, for our final question today is, what is most inspiring to you today?
Honestly, most inspiring to me is seeing the joy in my kids' hearts every day for 3 days so far, 4 days today. When they leave the house and they go to school and they're tackling these new adventures. And they've never been to this school before. It's all new to them, and so I like to kind of take some inspiration from them, just like charting my course into the future. And open eyes, positivity, and who knows what can happen. But I'm confident it's going to be good.
Awesome. Well, that sounds incredible. Thank you, David. This has been such a great conversation. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your journey.
Well, I appreciate your time, Kay. Thank you.